Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. I try to bring you every once in a while an inspirational story to get us motivated for what we can do in our life and how we get over the tough times. And I know we all encounter some pretty tough times in our lives. And I love hearing the stories of people that have gotten through those tough times, and particularly when they've sort of learned some lessons that they want to share, and particularly when they're vulnerable enough to want to be able to share their personal stories. And so I want to introduce you tonight to Sandra Venere. Sandra Venere is the author of two books, 7 Keys to Unlock Your Dream Life, and another book which we're highlighting today called The Pain to Power, both available on Amazon and elsewhere. She is a wellness and business coach who runs her own online coaching business, and she helps individuals discover their vision and make decisions that guide them toward their goals and dreams. She's also created a digital course called Unlock Your True Potential, which is available on her website. And I'll tell you a little bit more about her later on. But Sandra, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Brian, for having me. I really appreciate it as well.
So you've told me a little bit about your personal story, and it's pretty compelling, and I want to get into that a little bit. But before we sort of delve into the personal story, tell me, what motivated you to write this book, Pain to Power?
So the motivation came from, when I went through 5 years of darkness, I wanted to definitely make meaning, and I wanted to make my pain, turn it into purpose through writing. I'm obviously an author, so I can put my thoughts and feelings on paper and transmutate it, and that helps me heal as well. So I wanted to inspire others when they're going through dark moments and trauma and adversity, and so I wanted to write it. But more importantly, I wanted to have the purpose in the pain. There needed to be purpose in the pain for me to feel I don't know. I can't explain it. There was a reason for me to go through it.
Was there a reason for you to go through it?
It was definitely a reason to go through it because I transformed.
What's that reason? It's to
the
educate
reason
people?
I think is to unlearn the things that I didn't learn from the past, to heal my wounds from the past, as well as the current situation that I was going through, to find meaning in myself and my understanding, to realize that it's all in the power of the mind and how what we focus on and what we believe to be true. I learned that the stories that we tell ourselves are mostly lies, and that so there was just so many learnings.
Boy, that's a lot there to unpack. The stories we tell ourselves are mostly lies.
Yes.
Really? What do you mean by that?
Well, we run programs, right? And these programs are belief systems. And in these belief systems, there's stories. And the stories are running from our childhood, running from different segments that come into our lives. And if we don't change the stories, that's what keeps us stuck. So the beliefs, because you only receive what you believe in life, right? You only achieve what you believe. So in order to manifest, in order to get your goals, your dreams, become the person you want to be, you have to believe in yourself. And most of us don't. Most of us come from a lack. And I think that through our suffering is when our most teachings come through our suffering, not through our happy times, right? Growth comes in suffering. So not that we all want to go through suffering, but sometimes that's what transforms us. And that's what makes us look inside, because when you hit rock bottom, there's only one way, and it's up, right? So for me, that's how this all came about.
So you said you had to unlearn things. What did you have to unlearn?
I had to unlearn the stories and the belief systems that I believed that I wasn't good enough to be an author, wasn't good enough for anything that I'm doing right now. Also that I had to believe, when what happened to me, I was running a program of that I'm very lost, I'm very alone. And that kept reprogramming, and it brought me so much anxiety, so much pain, so much discomfort, so much grieving. And that I had to reprogram and say to myself, I'm not lost, I'm not alone. These are just things that I'm projecting onto myself. And then in turn, you believe them. So then you run from that program that you're alone and you're lost, right? And I'm not sure why that came up, but I had to uncover and peel the onions of why was I feeling alone and lost? Why did all these stepping stones make me feel that way? That was the first time in my life that I didn't have the capacity to be in control of my mind. So I just basically lost all my
What do you mean control of your mind?
control of my mind.
Control of your mind.
Yeah, control of my mind, meaning I had so much anxiety, I had so much sadness, I had so much depression that I couldn't cope. That's what I mean.
What is it that you hope people get if they read your book?
I want people to know that through their pain, there's a purpose. Through their pain and adversity, not so much grieving, but through the pain and is gonna bring you your greatest breakthrough. It's gonna bring you who you're meant to be. It's gonna make you learn about yourself. It's gonna open up avenues to yourself that you never knew was possible. So there's gonna be a world of possibilities once you get through the pain, the trauma. But you have to do the work. You have to do the healing. You have to like focus, and you have to basically deal with things that we don't want to deal with in our lives, right? We have to understand why this happened and why things are happening, and you have to like do the work and the healing. Because in
So
order
there's
to heal,
this sort of, I've always thought about it as a trite saying, but they're saying that what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. It sounds like you actually believe that.
oh, totally believe that. Yeah, I have more resilient now, more wisdom, more grace, more understanding of who I am as a person, more clarity, more compassion for myself and others.
But you wouldn't wish these dark years that you went through on other people.
I wouldn't wish it on other people, but interesting enough, now looking back, so when I was going through it, I couldn't understand why I was going through it. Why is this happening? Why is this happening? Sometimes we don't really understand the why. We just have to keep the hope and the faith. So for me, it was my creator, God. I'm Catholic, and I just kept praying and kept asking for which way to go, which way to turn. And then things would show up for me. Teachers would show up. Podcasts would show up, books would show up, and I just kept going. But, we all go through adversity. We all go through trauma. And unfortunately, none of us want to go through that. But that's when we have our biggest growth and our biggest breakthroughs. Like we totally do. We transform. And then we then in turn can help others, right? Like I'm doing right now.
Are you helping others?
I'm helping others. Yeah.
That's wonderful. I think that this is going to be an interesting conversation tonight. And I really thank you for being open and vulnerable and willing to share your story. We're going to take a break for some messages and come back with Sandra and talk a little bit about what you said it was like 3 years of dark night.
3, 4. Yeah. Three, and then a little bit more. Yeah. So almost 4.
We're going to come back and sort of understand her background and what happened. And then probably most importantly, how she got out of it and what the learnings are for all of us and how we might get out of whatever is challenging us. I think this is a great conversation for us to have at any time, but particularly as we start thinking about, the summertime and springtime and rebirth and new beginnings and things like that. Stay with us, everyone. Back in 2 minutes with Sandra Venere talking about dark night of the soul, how to get out of it and how to move on. Stay with us, everyone. Back in 2 minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. I've got, I think, a really compelling, inspirational, but also at times a little bit of a heartbreaking and sad story for you tonight. Sandra Venere is the author of 7 Keys to Unlock Your Dream Life and also a book called Pain to Power, which is really about a time that she went through where she's described it as sort of dark nights or dark nights of the soul, that she really struggled through some big problems, and she's going to share some of those challenges and problems with us. And then very importantly, how she got through it and what learnings she has and what she wants to share with all of us in how to be more resilient. Let me tell you, if I could, a little bit about Sandra and Sandra, then I'd love it if you'd expand upon this a little bit. But in addition to her coaching career, because as I mentioned earlier, she's a wellness and business coach who runs her online coaching business where she helps individuals discover their vision and make decisions that guide them toward their goals and dreams. She also co-ran a successful beauty business with her mother and brother, which has still since grown into a global company. Throughout her time in the business, she gained experience in various roles while earning certifications as a nutritionist and as a personal trainer. She's also pursued studies at Seneca College, earning certifications in psychology and finance. And with her diverse background, she firmly believes the key to success or failure lies in the power of our mind. She emphasizes that controlling our beliefs and thoughts is crucial to shaping our outcomes. You're you're interested in and willing to and vulnerable enough to share your pain with us, and you do so in your book, Pain to Power. Can you tell us, Sandra, what happened? What caused this 3 to 4 years of dark night?
Yes. So it started off with a traumatic event with my boyfriend of 10 years. He got very, very, very sick, and I had to witness lots of trauma. Basically, in a short nutshell, basically, he had kidney issues. Then from kidney issues, he had cancer. Then from cancer, the chemotherapy caused a massive stroke. From the massive stroke, he was paralyzed on his left side. And then through that, he had to amputate his right leg, which was another story. So through seeing all that, witnessing that, I can't begin to tell you the pain that I had for him and the empathy and the compassion. And it just ripped me right apart, stripped my soul. And then after that, shortly after that, the pandemic hit, because that was all 2019. But during the 2019, I also, from the witnessing of all that, and I guess the way it just affected my body, I got rheumatoid arthritis, and I had to suffer through that as well. I got on medication, so I was a little bit better. Then the pandemic hit, which in turn, we all know that the pandemic was once in a lifetime, and that alone could catastrophize and bring you mental issues and anxiety, sadness, depression. So I was living alone, and that was very, very difficult. And so I don't know what happened, but May of 2020, all of a sudden, I had so much anxiety, couldn't sit still, had depression. I was grieving him. I also went into retirement, so it was a bittersweet. We sold our company. And so like basically one day I just woke up to nothing. I literally just woke up to nothing. And that just, I guess, what you call it, spooked me. And it cascaded a whole bunch of anxiety. And what kept coming up was, I'm alone and I'm lost. I'm alone and I'm lost. And I couldn't understand what it was. And I kept gravitating towards my friends, and I couldn't stay alone. And prior to that, I was a very independent, happy woman, living my life like we all do in our busyness. But I guess through all that, I knew that I had to sit with myself and do the work and do the healing to understand why this happened to me. And I was on a mission to figure out, why is this happening to my mind when I was just I understand trauma does that, but I just wasn't going to accept the fact that I was going to spiral down, because it was about 2.5 years of lots of sadness, and I just couldn't. So anyways, what I did was I persevered, and I sought help from a therapist, a coach, you name it, I did it. I wasn't working, so I basically spent hours and hours a day trying to figure out what was going on with me. And through that discovery, I learned a lot. And I'm here today now writing the memoir of what it took to get out of that darkness.
What a experience both your boyfriend, obviously, and you went through. Tell me, this must have been incredible, this illness, the catastrophe that he endured.
Yes, it was very, very bad. And basically I was, I know I tried to help him as much as I can, but I wasn't in control of his destiny, of course, right? And so I don't know, it just broke all my spirit, right? And it took me so there was a lot of grieving involved in that as well. So
and he didn't pass away, but
no.
What's his status now?
Yeah, his status now, he's in an assisted living building I got him there because they wanted to put him in an old folks home. So there's so many other bits and pieces of the story that kept chipping away at my soul, let alone his, right? And just witnessing all that, I'm an empath, I got a big heart. So I just couldn't understand how that could happen and there's just so much more to the story that, and so now I don't know, I don't know what to say. He's there, trying his best.
You're still in some contact.
Yes, some contact. Yeah.
But you're no longer a couple. You broke up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me about the breakup. That must have been very difficult.
Yeah, very difficult. We had to make a decision that we no longer could. He made the decision that he could no longer be with me because of his situation. So that was very, very difficult. But we worked through that with counseling and stuff like that. So we remain friends to today. And yeah.
Why could you no longer be together? Why did he feel like you could no longer be together?
He just felt he no longer could be together. Well, he was immobile. He wasn't mentally well, so he didn't want to put that burden on me.
Really?
And
He didn't want to be a burden to you. That's incredibly honorable.
yeah, yes, he's got an incredible mindset. That's for sure.
How did you deal with that?
I dealt with it while I spiraled. I spiraled into the dark night of the soul. So that was very difficult for me. And I had to like do a lot of healing, a lot of healing, like 2 to 3 years of healing. Yeah.
And then you sort of got forced into retirement by selling your company.
Yes. Yeah.
And it sounds like the way you described this global business, that the company was probably a lot of your identity of who you were.
Yes, definitely. Yeah. And the
And then
busyness, right?
you woke up no longer having that identity.
Yeah. No longer having that identity, no longer having the identity of a significant other, being locked in a home by yourself, COVID. Yeah. So it was very difficult, but I had great support. And I have a fighting spirit. You have to keep that fighting spirit.
Well, I understand the fighting spirit, and I understand, some of the things that you mentioned in regards to getting a therapist and a coach and reading books and podcasts and stuff like that. But a lot of people, many people in your sort of situation would just sort of sit and watch soaps and eat chips and ice cream. What was the catalyst, if you can tell me, that got you to look for a therapist, let alone read books and podcasts? Was it a friend? Was it a mother? Was it yourself? What was it?
Yeah, I have to say it was myself. I'm a very determined individual, and you know, I like to have control, especially control of my mind. So I think that I knew that there was no other way. I was already so down. There's no other way but up. And then obviously my faith in the Creator and the hope and the faith. And I have a fantastic family support. So, but I think it's just my character. Like I don't think I sat on the couch once in those 3 years. So like I just kept persevering. I had to figure it out. I'm a little bit of an extremist. When I'm on a mission, I'm on a mission to conquer. So yeah, I just was, and that actually built in the interim of that 3 years of darkness and everything. It built also my character, like more strength and more positivity, more resilience, more compassion for myself and others, of course. But so now I'm not as hard as I am on myself that I was before, right? And there's so many lessons in it as well, like how precious life is. Like in 1 minute, our life can turn in a dime. And so, you don't know, how they say you don't know happiness till you feel sadness. You don't know darkness till you see the sun. So I just cherish life now in such a different way that, so I feel that was a big breakthrough in itself, right? I mean, I was always humble. I was always grateful for waking up every morning, being healthy and everything, but going through that health crisis as well in 2023 for 4 or 5 months, I couldn't even walk, right? Because it just progressively got worse, my rheumatoid arthritis. So I fought through that as well. And so, and funny enough is that, well, it's not funny, but when I started getting through and I started becoming better with my mind, basically, then I got hit with that physical illness for some reason, because I was on medication before and I was fine. But then in 2023, my medicine stopped working. I got COVID, actually. COVID was fine, but it made my medicine stop working. And then I just finally got out of that dark night of the soul. And then I got hit with a physical illness. I was stuck in my home for 4 months. I couldn't even make it to the washroom with excruciating pain.
Oh my God. And this was rheumatoid arthritis?
Yeah,
And how does one heal from rheumatoid arthritis?
well, with the rheumatoid, because we were changing, the COVID stopped my medicine from working. So then I had to get on a new medication. And in the interim of that time, that's when my body started, I was in pain. I couldn't move and everything. Well, once you get on the medication, it takes a couple of weeks to a month to any medicine to kick in. And then, basically you're fine. When you're on the medication, you're fine. Like I'm just perfect now.
But if you went off the medication, the arthritis would come back.
You know what? Probably they say that, but that's another thing I'm trying to conquer too. I'm trying to conquer not believing in that. So I'm on another trajectory to like get off medication. I've been lowering my medication. I've been fine because I believe it's all in the power of the mind. Our emotions cause our illness. So that's another thing too. I went through in 2023, I wanted to dig deeper and say, what is the emotion underlying that's causing the rheumatoid arthritis, right? Because I just true believer that our emotions cause our disease, but that's a whole other topic in itself. But
What do you think is the emotion that's causing your rheumatoid arthritis?
my emotion that was causing that was the empathy and the broken spirit that I had with my boyfriend, and so I had to heal that. And once I healed that, and once I become more confident, and I healed some trauma from the past, right? You become freer and more lighter and more lighter. And then I think, you become happier and you become more confident, and then you go after your dreams, you go after your goals, then you have purpose in your life. And through that purpose, right, you can get up in the morning with purpose. So that in itself is huge in conquering your ailments, your lack of self-worth, your lack of self-love. Do you know what I mean?
And your purpose is writing the book and conveying your message to people.
Yes. Yes.
That's wonderful. The therapist, what type of therapist was it? How did you find that therapist? What did they say? Was it helpful?
Yeah. So I found the first therapist I found, she was, I thought, I would find a therapist for trauma, and she did EMDR. So it's usually done for post-traumatic stress disorder. And so we did that.
What's EMDR?
Electromagnetic fields. So it's basically the stories that you're telling yourself that are causing you pain. So what they do is they reprogram your mind. So there's a technique that they use, and it's basically, it lowers the, let's say, for example, when you're running a program like 1 to 10, 10 is the story is really, really embedded in your brain and in your memory. So what this does, it lowers it to let's say like a level 1. So that's not in your memory anymore. It's a method. It's like,
okay. And so this was one way to just get rid of some of these bad memories.
Yep. Yes, definitely.
Okay. And that worked, helped.
Yeah, that helped along with talk.
That was the first therapist you went to.
That was the first. We did talk therapy too. And then I hired a coach, who also.
What was the coach?
So the coach was helping me to find my purpose, because I wanted to figure out what I wanted to do after retirement, right? So, but then what happened was he helped me with the emotions, basically like a therapist, right? And we would speak 3 times a week, and we would uncover the belief systems, the stories, the programs, the guilt that I was running. Just all of that. So I did that for about a year. And then I took a lot of courses as well on trauma, on grieving.
Where did you find these courses?
Just online. I just prayed and they showed up.
Really?
Really. No, honestly, that's not a lie, actually. Yep.
And so the learning from this is what? I guess that you got to go through growth, that you got to try to figure out yourself. You got to do some self-love work. Whether it be, as you tried lots of different things. You tried podcasts, you tried books, you tried therapists, you tried coaches. So there's not one answer, but it's trying to find out what's right for you. And I guess it's this, I don't know whether it's luck or manifestation, but that you prayed and the things that you needed came to you. Is that sort of fair?
Yeah, that's fair to say. Yes. Yeah. And I just truly believe that you need to do the healing. You need to uncover what are those blocks that are keeping you stuck, that are keeping you in that darkness, in that despair, in the fact that you have no hope anymore. You have to uncover what is that story? And then you have to reprogram that story, because it's just a story, right? And so I had to unlearn a lot of stories that I was telling myself during that dark time.
That you weren't good enough to be an author, that you were.
That I was even alone. I'm alone. I wasn't really alone. I just was alone in my home in a pandemic, right? So I had to but my mind was telling myself that I was lost. Why was I lost? I wasn't really lost, but that was coming from basically, losing your identity to the company that I was in, right? And then I had to go back into my childhood and do some childhood, discovering that, maybe my dad passed away when I was 14 as well. So I had to do that as well. So there was a little bit of that lost feeling there. So what happened was, when all this happened, it sort of transmutated all the trauma that I never healed, right? And it combusted. And then that's what happened. It brought me to my knees, basically. So I just think you have to do the work. I know I'm going to keep saying that, but you have to do the healing work, because there's the only freedom you have is to basically find out who you truly are, and to know that during this dark time, there'll be light at the end. There'll be something that you can take away, and you can transmutate that and help others. And that could become your purpose. So purpose in the pain, right? Pain to power. So take that.
Was it a, you talk about there being a time, a transmutation or something. Was it like a light bulb, or was it a moment, or was it a journey that you needed to go through?
I think it was, for me, it was a journey. It was a
So it didn't
journey.
happen all at once.
Not at all. No, I wish it happened all at once, nice and quick. No, not for me, but I had to go through all that. But I mean, I look back now and I understand why that happened to me. It had to bring me to where I am today, with my business, with my helping others, with creating my new business where I help others, and now with my books, to help people to know that there's hope in the darkness and in our trauma, that it can build resilient wisdom, transformation.
Many people talk about writing and journaling, or a memoir, or something like that, is very therapeutic. Just writing down the experiences that they've gone through. Was it for you?
I do journaling. Yeah, I do prayers. I have a whole morning routine that really helps set my day. Journaling is very good. Yeah, because you have to let those feelings out, whether that's on paper, whether that's talking through, whether that's praying. You have to feel to heal. You definitely do. And if you don't do the healing, you're just going to keep stumbling, and you're going to have the same things happen to you, until you heal that, and trust yourself. Trust in the knowing that no matter what happens, you will come out of this, and you will be forever grateful for the freedom and the teachings that it taught you.
Are you a different person today than you were? Obviously you're different than you were during this dark night of the soul and through all your problems, but are you a different person than you were, 5 years ago or 10 years ago?
5 years ago, for sure. Absolutely, 100%.
10 years ago? Are you a different person? When you were
Oh,
at the height of
yeah.
your business and your global success,
Yeah. Yes.
and the beginning of that relationship, when all things are new, are you a different
Totally
person
different
today?
person. Totally different person.
Are you a better person?
Definitely a better person.
How are you a better person?
I'm more compassionate to myself. I'm more compassionate to others. I can love big with all my heart now. I realize how precious life is. I enjoy the moment. I stay in the present. I appreciate life every moment. I'm kinder to myself. I'm kinder to others. I'm more humble. Mind you, I was always humble and kind. Those are my biggest attributes, but it just made me even more humble. So now, like, I just love life. I cherish life. I want to help others. I want to live full. I want to help others. And I just want to tell them that keep persevering, keep going through that dark night of the soul. You'll come out of it with a newfound belief and a freedom, just a freedom in your soul, a freedom in your mind to be who you're supposed to be, express what you're supposed to express, and love big and help others, because that's what we're here to do.
Sandra Venere, you're an inspiration. Thank you so much for this story. We're going to take a break for some messages, and we're going to come back. Maybe we'll ask Sandra if she can read something from the book for us. Stay with us, everyone. Back in 2 minutes. Welcome back, everyone, to the Brian Crombie Radio Hour. We're chatting tonight about getting out of funks, getting out of problems, getting out of traumas, disasters, with Sandra Venere, who's the author of 2 books, 7 Keys to Unlock Your Dream Life, and a book that she's just about to publish, comes out in June, called Pain to Power, which is really a story that she's written, a memoir of what she's described as 3 or more years of a dark night of the soul, where, my gosh, her description of what was happening is it's just incredible. But also it's a story of how she got out of it and through it, and has become what she describes as a far better person today. Sandra, you've got the book handy. Can you read a section from it for us, please?
Yeah, I'm just trying to see what section I want to read.
Something that's compelling, that
Yeah,
motivates us, that inspires us.
okay, let's see.
The book is called Pain to Power, and it's going to be available on Amazon, and it's going to come out in mid-June. And she believes that it's a way to see how others, herself, have gone through some challenges and trauma, and that they can discover their vision and make decisions that guide them toward their goals and dreams. She's also created a digital course called Unlock Your True Potential, which is available on her website, that will help people deal with some of their problems and figure out what their passions are in their future and what they need to do.
Hi, Brian, I'm thinking, I'm thinking maybe the introduction
Sure.
to the book?
Sounds
Yeah.
great.
Okay. So your pain can lead to your greatest breakthrough. It might begin with a loss, a sudden traumatic event, or a diagnosis, something that shatters our vision of how life should be. What we dreamed of, hoped for, and longed for. In an instant, it can all come undone. Yet in choosing not to let this break us, we found a way to come back together. We start the journey to process and heal our inner selves, the part of us that always needed healing but lay dormant until the moment woke us up. Gradually, we gather the pieces, creating a new self that has been within us all along, waiting to emerge. Sometimes in life, we are on a journey of self-discovery, not by choice, not by choice, but by our Creator. He always has a purpose in our pain. We must understand that we do not always get the answers in life as to why some things happen to us or others. We need to have blind faith and the courage to keep going, even if it's so painful that it stops us from moving. In these moments, we have to trust in a higher power that will guide us from this point onward. The loss of a loved one brings tremendous grief, and this type of loss needs to be given the space to grieve, accept, and finally move on from this pain. The pain I am talking about is different. It will catalyze healing and help us see our ego for the first time. The ego is trying to birth a new you. This is called a transformation of the next chapter of your life. The person you were no longer be. A new one awaits you on the other side. One that will feel everything in a way you have never felt before. It is here to help you love bigger, feel more, and even be a better person. Become stronger and more resilient than you ever were before. It teaches you how precious life is. When we were so busy making plans, we did not stop to realize that life can change in a moment. In this new version of you, you will find a deep love inside you waiting to emerge. You will love with no boundaries and leap with no setbacks because you now know something you did not realize before. In this life, we have to understand that these moments are always here to teach us, to help us unbecome who we were, to become stronger and more compassionate, to see who you truly were all along, a person who always knew there was more to feel, more to live and explore within. In this exploration, you find a new version of yourself, a you that you can be proud of, someone who has done the work to move forward, a you that has now found the strength to understand and live from a place of gratitude and love. This book is a story how I overcame a pain so deep that I thought I would never heal from it. Beginning from a traumatic event, a pandemic, retirement, and a physical illness that led me down a path of self-healing and self-realization. To the woman now who is writing these words to you and who overcame this pain, I am hoping that you can find strength in the upcoming chapters that can help you know that you are not alone and that you have a strength inside you that you would only know and discover because of what you are currently going through. This path you are on will help you see your true purpose. In time of pain, a new you emerges, which can help rediscover parts of you that never knew existed. In these parts lies a person you will meet on the other side of this healing journey. I hope my words will help ease you through this.
That's very inspirational and compelling. Sandra, you're a different person, and you described yourself as a better person today.
Yes.
To do that, to become that, to go through that journey of self-healing and self-discovery, and relearning that you've described, do you need to go through the trauma and the tragedy? Can someone that doesn't go through the trauma and tragedy do that anyway?
I don't think that I don't think people will take the time to to like learn about themselves and discover about themselves unless they hit rock bottom. Because
So
then
you like yourself more today.
absolutely,
You're a better person today than you were 10 years ago.
I'm a more understanding person. Yeah, I'm more compassionate, more loving. Again, I was always already like this. It just magnified it so much more, and
So,
so life is richer for me now.
so are you glad that life gave you this 3 years of tragedy?
You know, that's a hard one to answer, but if I look back now, I'm going to say I'm glad that that happened to me. Definitely not glad it happened to my boyfriend, of course, right? But I don't think I would be this person today, so I think that I am glad that it happened.
You're glad that you got rheumatoid arthritis. You're glad that you had this loneliness and this feeling sense of loss and being completely alone. You're glad that you went through that dark nights of the soul because it helped you do the self-discovery and self-learning and come out the other side.
Yeah, and now I birthed a book through it, right? I birthed a book through it that now that can send a message out to the world. And I think that we're all here to we're put on this earth to help others. And I think that sometimes when you go through darkness, you discover who you are, and then you have all this information and all this power, right, to then teach others. And I think that's what life is all about, actually. And unfortunately, our suffering sometimes brings us to our greatest breakthroughs.
Sometimes our suffering brings us to our greatest breakthroughs. That sounds like it's a line from Shakespeare or a line from a
Yeah.
Greek philosopher. Very powerful. Some people that have gone through this problem, this trauma, this incredible tragedy would find would find it very difficult to form good, strong relationships with people again because they'd be worried that someone else would get cancer or someone else would have kidney problems, someone else would have to be amputated. Can you form relationships with people, or are you
Yeah.
less trusting today?
No, I didn't allow this journey because of the healing and the work that I've done. And that's why I keep saying you have to do the work, you have to do the healing, because if I didn't, then I would be bringing all that baggage into my next relationship or relationships with even other people. So I think that, no, I have great relationships. I have a beautiful social circle of friends. No, absolutely. I have no trust issues. I trust in the process that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And everything up until this point was meant for me to become who I am. And I'm not going to take that and transmutate that onto other people, because everyone is an individual, everyone's different. And I mean, life does happen. I mean, I'm not going to sit here to be very authentic. Of course, I get afraid of like the health issues that we can all have, but that's just life now. I realize that that's just life. We need to accept it. But in that knowing, I can just cherish and love more. So like when I'm in a relationship, then I can cherish and love that more. When I'm with my friends, I can cherish and love them more. When I'm with my family, and do you know what I mean? Because the essence of that in a minute, it can be taken away. So to love on that level, I wouldn't have loved on that level before because I didn't have the capacity to understand the profound that life is just so precious. I don't know how else to explain it.
Who's who's been closest to you? Who's watched you go through this? Your brother or your mother that you were in business with, or a friend? Who's
Uh,
been sort of there beside you?
yeah, so I'm going to say that my mother was there, and a close dear friend of mine, my friend Connie. and my brother as well.
And
And all my friends, but I'm saying those three.
if
Yeah.
I chatted with Connie or your mother and asked them if you're a different person, if you're a better person, if you're a stronger person today, what would they tell me?
They would say, absolutely. We are very proud of her, how much she persevered and her discipline and the fact that she did the work, the fact that she, did the work to go through this and transform this. And yeah, they're very proud of me today.
What would the your ex-boyfriend say?
Oh, if he knew, oh yeah, he would be very proud. I mean, yeah.
This is really quite a compelling story. I thank you for sharing it with us. If I came to you, or if someone came to you and said that we were in the dark night of a soul because something traumatic had happened and we were just lost and couldn't get out of bed and we're depressed, what would you tell us to do?
I would tell you to pray. I would tell you to have hope. I would guide them. I would give them all the tools. I would give them all the lessons. I would give them the book. I would be by their side. I would basically take them along the journey of, it depends on what, like, their circumstances, why they're in that situation. Again, like I said, when you lose a loved one to death, it's different. You got to go through that grieving process. So this is like a little bit different, but I would give them all the tools, and that they have to do the work. They got to do the healing. They got to feel those feelings. They have to they have to feel those feelings. They can't run away from them, and they have to know that there's hope. There's hope on the other side.
How can you convince someone that's in that dark night of a soul that's dwelling in the tragedy and the trauma that there's hope? Like how? Like,
Oh,
people that are in AA or something like that, a lot of them have to believe in God or
yeah.
a greater power. And that's part, and some people have real difficulty that there's a religious side to that. How do you believe? How do you get people to believe in hope?
How do I get people to believe in hope? I think if they start believing and they start taking baby steps to get out of bed, to brush their teeth, to wash their face, to get themselves, just even that step will bring you to the next step, bring you to the next step. And that those little increments, things will show up for them, and then they'll start believing. You have to believe, though. You have to believe in something. Like, I don't know if I can convince someone who doesn't believe in anything that there's something greater than us, right? I mean, even in AA, they do the 12 steps, right? And it's all about finding that true happiness within and having that spirit and having that connection with your creator and knowing that he will always have your back. And if you just keep persevering, at the end of it, you'll have a rainbow. And it's true. I mean, I don't really know how I would do that. I mean, I'm not a therapist myself, but I would definitely lead them to whatever I can do from my experiences.
Um, you've got a fairly compelling story. Um, you had therapists, you had coaches, you had podcasts, you had coaches, you read books. Some people don't have a lot of money to do all that. They don't have a lot of time to do all that. They don't have that support network.
Right.
What can they do?
What can they do?
You other than your book, are there books that were particularly
Oh,
impactful to you that
yeah,
you
there
would
was.
recommend?
Yeah, there's an author, Brianna Wiest. I think I pronounce it Weist. She's really good. One of her books, actually, a couple of, I read all her books, actually. She's my favorite author. And that helped me as well. So I would just say, so if you don't have, if your funds are low, and I would say definitely a therapist, though. Definitely a therapist, because you can even, some I think you can do BetterHelp. They fund some of it, and then I would say books, podcasts, webinars, anything that's free. There's podcasts that are free that talk about trauma, especially now. We're so it's so much easier now because we have the internet, we have the Instagram, we have the YouTube. It's endless now. What's at our fingertips that like 10 years ago there wasn't, right? So when there's a will, there's a way. You just
And
have
you
to want it.
and you do your own coaching?
Coaching people, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And tell us about that.
Mine is geared more toward business coaching. I help people write books. I help people open businesses. I help some people come to me when they're a little bit lost. They don't know where they want to go. So we uncover. I have a step process. And so like I've been doing that lately, more on the business side.
So if people want to reach out to you for coaching, how do they do that?
Oh, okay. On my website.
And what's your website?
It's just my name, www.sandravenere.ca, and everything's on there. They can book a complimentary consultation and we can go from there.
And your book comes out in mid-June. What's it called and where can we get it?
Yeah, it's called Pain to Power, and you can get it on Amazon, Google Books, Apple, Barnes and Noble, and and Amazon predominantly.
You know, this has been a really inspiring story. I thank you for joining us. I thank you for being so vulnerable and open. I think that there's someone out there tonight that's listening, if not several someones, that is going to be inspired to read a book or to listen to a podcast or to take your suggestions and take the time to try to figure out what their purpose is in life, what their passion is, and do the work that you've described that will lead to a better person in the future. And so I thank you for joining us. Thank you so much, Sandra.
Yeah, thank you so much, Brian, for this opportunity. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope that I hope this inspired others, and just always keep the hope, keep the faith. There's always possibilities and there's always a rainbow at the end of adversity.
We're going to take a break and come back, and I'm going to have a few of my own concluding comments on this topic. Stay with us, everyone. Thank you, Sandra. Really appreciate it.